The Common Good Radio Show. The Common Good Radio Show. Brought to you by Veteran Rescue Mission. Highlighting the good in the community. Hosted by Pastor John McLean, Tucson's favorite family show.
And welcome. Good afternoon. This is the Common Good Radio Show. I'm Ron Arenas, your guest host today, along with our special guest co-host, Ryan Shirley.
Hello, everybody.
And if you don't recognize the voice, I'm the host of the Guys Next Door radio show, but Pastor John is taking some well-deserved time off this weekend, so I'm filling in for him. Our first guests are from Crest Insurance, Corey Williams, and Chester. Welcome, guys.
Hello.
How you doing?
Glad to be here.
So tell us a little bit about Crest Insurance.
Well, not a whole lot to tell. I mean, our story is a simple one. We're a locally owned and operated Tucson agency, been operating in this area for well over 40 years. We've had a few different names over our overall history, but Crest Insurance is a relatively new form of an agency that's been serving the Tucson community for a long time. We've got 18 locations all throughout the Southwest, in Wyoming, in Colorado, San Diego, all throughout Arizona, Southern California as well. So we've grown a lot. We pride ourselves on being from the community, giving to the community. We're very connected to the communities that all of our employees work in.
Yeah.
One of the things we do that's kind of rare is we're one of those insurance agencies that actually invest in the community at a grassroots level. A lot of times these larger agencies are publicly traded and they don't have the flexibility or, quite frankly, the desire to support their communities. They do business in the community and that's pretty much it. Where we feel like, we care about what our employees care about. So we try to sponsor, everything from the university athletics to, food bank drive. We sponsor a lot of things. We do something that's not necessarily traditional, but we think that's what sets us apart and makes us different.
Okay. Yeah. You're local. You're based here in Tucson.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Based here in Tucson, and we understand the community. We understand the challenges for the people in our community. And, at a time where things are getting more and more automated, what we're finding is that customers are really wanting great service. They want to talk to someone. They want to have their concerns met by a real person. I think a lot of people are fed up with the apps and the call centers and getting the runaround. So when you do business with us, you've got dedicated people who live in your community who are going to answer the phone. You can come in and sit down with us. We can explain things. And most importantly, you've got someone who can advocate for you with the insurance carrier. Carriers make money, and that means they're not always the easiest to deal with when it's time for a claim. Their general default position is no. Make us pay you. Right. And that's our job. We get involved and we make sure that the carriers live up to the policies.
Yeah, very good. And you brought your associate, Chester, with you. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yes, so I am the Director of Risk Services for Crest Insurance Group. And like Corey said, I pride myself, and we all do at Crest, is having that partnership with our clients. And having that professional partnership is, having that one-on-one discussions with the clients, knowing their business, knowing what their risks are, risk exposures, how can I best help them to reduce those risks, and also, then in the long run, lower their premiums, and also make sure that all their employees go home every day.
Yeah, that's
safe.
important.
That's what matters.
Yep.
Yes.
It seems like that's something that Chester's been doing for a long time, and keeping people safe. Not to segue into it, but we really appreciate your service. So maybe you can chat a little bit about that.
Yeah, I spent retired from the Navy last July. Did 22 and a half years within the SEAL teams. I got in before I graduated from the University of Arizona, and got in went into the Navy right before 9/11, and 9/11 happened. And the world changed, as we all know.
Yeah, definitely.
And I was fortunate enough to be, to me, it's all about timing. And I was very fortunate enough to be able to serve my country and do my job for 20 years, fighting the guys, the enemy who attacked us on 9/11.
Sure.
So and then then ISIS came, which they didn't, but after they weren't part of 9/11, but they fostered from 9/11. And I was very fortunate to lead teams to defeat ISIS in Iraq and in Mosul. So I really enjoyed it. So
Well, thank you for your service.
Absolutely.
We appreciate
Thank
that.
you.
And you're also a CDO graduate, and you're part of the 1994 state championship team.
I am. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. That was a great time. I loved playing baseball growing up, and I think I peaked at high school. I was a recruited walk-on with the U of A with Coach Kendall on his last year. So got to play there. I played 2 years there, and then graduated from the University of Arizona and went into the Navy. So
Fantastic.
it's
Well,
great.
we're a CDO family. I had 3 of my boys graduate from CDO.
Oh, great.
Yeah, and my youngest son was an all-state football player through CDO. So
Oh, good.
yeah.
Did any of the kids play baseball?
No, we're
Okay.
not a baseball family.
It's crazy to me too, because over the years after I graduated, how good CDO has been.
Yeah.
Within
Baseball and softball. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
They have a good program.
Well, speaking of U of A, a big question I have is, Corey, your thoughts on the Big 12 move coming up here? It's about to start here in about a month or so.
Well, conference realignment, the TV dollars are driving all of this. The schools didn't take long to figure out which groups make the most money. And when you think of it in terms of like an arms race with over 200 Division I schools, eventually it's all going to sift out this way, where you're probably going to have 5 or 6 major conferences of 25 teams each. And then you'll have all the mid-majors kind of standing outside the party hoping to get in.
Yeah.
But it's all based on TV revenue, filtrating down to the schools, which partnerships, which matchups, which fan bases are going to clash. You're going to have USC versus Michigan on the football field. You're going to have Arizona versus Kansas twice a year in basketball. So you're going to have these games that are huge, bankable games. So they're not paying any respect to actual geography. Cal is now a part of the ACC, which makes no sense.
Yeah,
they're
not
on
at
the
all.
Pacific Coast, but they're playing in the Atlantic Coast Conference.
Right.
So these schools are partnering up. They're ganging up into these big profitable buckets that don't make any sense when you look at our map. Throw out, the old traditional lines of college sports and just brace yourself for the new situation where the way they look at a plane ride's a plane ride. It doesn't matter if it's a 2-hour or a 4-hour. We're going to go play what in the situation is beneficial to the school.
Well, speaking of money, the NIL, name, image, likeness, I'm curious to hear everyone's thoughts on where that's going and how that money is going to filter to the athletes and what you're, just.
Yes. My thoughts are, I think it's going to destroy college sports. I think it's going to, I guess in the end, you're going to have 4 to 6 teams. They're going to have all the money, have all the good players, and it's just going to be the four to six teams, same 4 to 6 teams every year.
Kind of seems that way. That's
Yes.
where it's headed.
I believe if they want to do that, if they want to pay the players, which I do believe they do need to get some money after talking to Corey about his experience, there has to be a cap. Because if I was a great baseball player, I'll just throw myself out there. If I was a great pitcher in college, I would be on that transfer portal every year trying to get the more dollars that I could throughout my 4 years.
Yeah.
That's the way I'd do it.
I agree with Chester to a degree. I think the formula for college athletics, the formula for anything is preparation, leadership, desire, repetition. These are things that NIL strips away.
Yeah.
Now you're in a situation where the coach is effectively a general manager. The young person is now a professional, despite being 18, 19 years old.
Right.
So they're being financially rewarded before they've even mastered their craft. See, the pros is a reward for those who separate themselves, master their craft, and get drafted.
Right.
Now you have a professional mentality in an amateur system,
Right.
and you don't have any work ethic. They haven't developed a work ethic because I don't have to try now. I'm being paid. I don't have to sacrifice. I'm being paid. The coach can't lead because how do you lead employees? So it's like this mercenary situation where everybody is on a 1-year, revolving transfer portal window.
Yeah.
You can't create chemistry. You can't create camaraderie. Nobody's playing for anything greater than themselves. They're not playing for, the state school or the Wildcats. They're playing. You've got, dozens and dozens of individual businesses operating on their own.
Mm-hmm.
And coaches lament this behind closed doors. We can't get that team culture back now that everybody's being paid. And in certain situations, you only have a fraction of the team that's receiving NIL money.
Right.
Only the big name positions, quarterback, cornerback, point guard, big
Mhm.
man. There's only a few people actually attracting NIL dollars. So how do you build a team in an atmosphere that has no team qualities at all? So I think it's going to be very challenging as the years continue.
Yeah.
And I also think, like in college sports, coming from high school, going into the college, and then preparing yourself to go to the professional level, that team culture and also the coaching, those kids that just transfer every year, and they don't get the coaching that they need.
Yeah. Well, thank you guys. It's Crest Insurance. How do we get a hold of you?
CrestINS.com on the internet. Check us out.
All right.
Thank you again.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Thank you.
The Common Good Radio Show. The Common Good Radio Show. Brought to you by Veteran Rescue Mission. Highlighting the good in the community. Hosted by Pastor John McClain. Tucson's favorite family show.
And welcome back to the Common Good Radio Show. I'm your guest host, Ron Arenas. Right now we have a special guest with us, Sarah Souders with Russ Lyon Sotheby's International Realty.
You
Welcome.
got it all out. Very
Yeah, I
good.
did.
I know it's a mouthful, but you did a good job.
Right. Well, thank you. So, there's some big changes coming in the real estate industry.
Yes, there is.
Yeah, what's going on?
I think you're referring to the NAR, the National Association of Realtors settlement that just took place this year,
Right.
and the big changes. So what we are being told is that August 17th, all the changes have to be implemented in all the MLSs across the nation.
That's coming
Arizona.
up quick.
Yes, it is coming up quick,
Yeah.
and even more quickly is that the Arizona Association of Realtors made the decision that on August 1st, that's when they're implementing the changes. So what does that mean for the public? That's what everybody wants to know, right?
Right.
So August 1st, when you go into Zillow, Realtor.com, anything like that, you will
Mhm.
no longer see what the seller is offering in compensation to the buyer's agent.
Oh,
It's no longer publicly disclosed on the MLS. As a matter of fact, there's no box or any kind of information that I can go in and place as far as what my seller might be offering. That's completely been taken out, right?
as a customer, I mean, I don't remember. I mean, I guess I wasn't looking for that
Right.
information. I was just
Right.
looking for, the property and how much it was and kind of what area it was located in.
Right. So it's always been something that's negotiable. It's always been there,
Okay.
but it wasn't necessarily acknowledged by everybody.
Oh.
And that's kind of the concern, is that all these people came up and said, hey, I didn't know that I had to pay for my agent. I didn't know I had to pay someone to work for me and help me. And so, yeah, right. So with that lawsuit, it has changed a great deal of things for us. So August 1st, that's no longer on there. That is something that the agent has to call to the other agent, get the information. They need to send what is now, we're being told, is called a CAB form, which will have the compensation that's being offered from the seller to the buyer's agent if they are offering something.
Wow.
And those percentages amounts can range wherever the seller wants to or doesn't want to, depending on how they want to invest in the advertisement of their own property. Yeah.
And this is for every different house, right?
Every
So if I wanted to go look at 5 houses on Saturday, you'd have to call each agent
Yep.
for each of those houses and get that agreement.
Yep. So not only that, but as of August 1st, it used to be you would give me a call and say, hey, Sarah, let's go see this house. I saw it online and it looks beautiful and
Right.
great, right?
Sure.
And I'd say, great. What time do you want to meet there? I'll call up, make the schedule, make the appointment. We go
Yeah.
see it. Not going to happen anymore.
Wow.
So the way it works now is that there is an exclusive employment agreement or an employment agreement that has to be signed, filled out and signed by the agent representing the brokerage as well as the buyer.
Oh,
Yep.
Okay.
Before I can show you a home. That's a big deal, right?
Right.
So you have to enter into an employment agreement with me for whatever length of time property, however you want to word it, it has to be filled out and signed before I can take you in. Yes. And that affects all of us, right? Not just us agents. So that takes place August 1st. And, that there are people that say, I don't want to do that. Well, guess what? The fine for me is anywhere from $5,000 to $15,000.
Oh, wow.
3 years suspension off the MLS or complete suspension of my license, and $7,500 starting for the brokerage. So I don't think any of us are going to risk that.
No.
And I would hope that none of our clients or customers would want us to risk all of our time and effort in that, so.
Right. So these agreements, so if I was looking for a piece of property or a house and I was interested in, say, 3 houses on the northwest side.
Yep.
Would we have to have agreements for each between you and me? Would we have to have agreements between each house, or just kind of a blanket agreement saying, yeah, you're going to show me houses for the duration of a month or something?
That would be a point of negotiation and something that we can agree upon, whether it's for, hey, you want to go out for one day, and during this day, we'll enter this agreement for this day in this area, this zip code, this community. I have done them in regards to one specific property. Yep. So that, being
so you could
as
be a realtor, their realtor for a day.
Yeah.
Or you could be a realtor for a month or a 6 month
Well, we
period.
both decide if we want to work with each other,
Yeah.
right? So we can, it's kind of more like dating than getting married,
Yeah.
We can go date for a day and see, are we going to work well together? Do you like me? Do you want to work with me? Do you feel that I'm going to negotiate and represent your best interest? Or did you meet this other agent before, or you have a relationship with this agent and you've decided to go with them? That's going to be up to you.
Okay.
And, we're still waiting to get the finals on all these. We have draft documents right now that we're looking at.
Yeah.
So, I'm saying this today, and it's not yet August 1st, so everything can change.
Wow. I guess, with everything, there's pros and cons, but that definitely could be a pro if I didn't know you personally and maybe you're a referral from someone, or I saw you in some kind of advertisement and called you up and said, hey, I want to see this house, or I want to see this property, and then we just didn't get along, or, we didn't mesh.
Right.
And we're under contract for one day, or just that property or whatever.
Yeah. And then there's also the compensation. How are you going to pay me? Are you going to pay me at the close? I've heard agents discussing, you see all these different things online, different Facebook groups, and people saying, well, I think I'm going to maybe, do it by the house, or I'm going to do a daily rate, or what. I don't know how the forms are going to turn out exactly, and how we're going to be able to be compensated that way for our time and our effort. If it'll go back to just being the, 1%, 2%, 3%, 4%, 5%, whatever it is that you want to do, work with, or a flat fee, or however you're going to work with. But that's all to be negotiated between either the buyer, the seller, and the agents that are representing them. So.
Wow.
And
sounds pretty confusing.
Yeah, but hey, we're here to make it clear for you. And once we have those documents, we'll sit down, educate. I always say to my clients, we'll talk about it, read over everything, review it, ask me any questions. Let's talk about it before we sign anything, and make sure you have a full understanding of what you're signing and what you're doing. Because I don't want anyone just to feel like, oh, I'm just going in and just signing, and not understanding what they're signing. It's important that you know what relationship you have with all the different parties involved and what each document says.
Okay, very good.
Yeah.
So you're listed as a luxury real estate agent.
Yes.
Yeah, what does that mean?
I love it when people ask that question. So, let's see. Technically, luxury is your top 10% of the market.
Okay.
Here in Tucson and the surrounding areas, Oro Valley, Marana, etc.
Mm-hmm.
That would be basically a price point of like $680,000.
Oh, okay.
You go up to Phoenix, you're looking at $1.2 million and above, right?
Oh, wow.
Because different
Okay.
markets that, the price ranges are different. However, I choose to look at luxury as an experience. And I would tell you that regardless of if I have a client, looking at a $20,000 home or a $20 million home, the experience and the way that they're going to be treated with me is going to be the same. I'm going to treat them with white glove service. I'm going to treat with them with respect, honesty. I'm going to do my absolute best for what is best for them, not looking at, what is my outcome in it, but what is their outcome. My goal is to help people
Sure.
find their dream homes. to transition through difficult periods or joyful periods in their life with somebody right beside them, helping them through each step and making that an easier process than the move and all the chaos that goes with it, all the emotions. It's very
Yeah.
stressful,
It is.
right?
Yeah.
And so my goal is just to make it a smooth, easy process for them in the best of situations, right? You always get thrown different things all the time, but
Yeah.
to be that calm force for them and just really work with them and help them. And so for me, luxury is an experience.
Okay, very good. And we were also talking off air about the accessory dwelling units, the ADUs.
Yes.
Yeah,
yes.
that's something that I just heard about it maybe in the last week or two.
Yeah.
But can you tell our audience about that?
Yeah, so commonly here we would call that like a mother-in-law suite or a
Mhm.
casita. It's basically just a small residential quarters,
Okay.
for lack of better words, I guess. Some of them you can buy like on Amazon. There's pop-ups you can put on, or you can put, actually the foundation down and have the concrete and
Oh.
all that, and have the separate building that's not for the main family living, but would be for either to use as an income property, renting it out to people, or for your own guests, or maybe you do
Yeah.
have a parent or maybe a child who's in college that's going to live there. So they have
Right.
separate living, but it's on the same property, right?
Right.
So basically in January of 2022, Tucson put in the regulations for how those are allowed to be placed on a property, what percentage of the property they can take up, the height of the building, the standards
Oh.
for the building, and all those things. In March of 24, the Arizona legislature put new regulations in place that is a statewide regulation, and it's based on the size of the community. A community that has 75,000 people or more, something like that, it's different for one that's smaller, right? But they don't match. Tucson does not match what the Arizona one said.
Oh.
And the interesting thing in that is the whole goal, right, is to create extra or more additional living. We
Right.
need more housing here.
We do.
Right? You
Yep.
can walk down any street in Tucson and see that there is a need for housing
We
and
got
affordable
about 10
housing.
seconds left.
Okay. Anyways, so just getting those to align and where we can all create more homes for people.
Perfect. Tell us how we can get a hold of you for consultation.
All right. You can reach me at 520-305-6974.
Very good. Thank you.
Thank you for having me on.
The Common Good Radio Show. The Common Good Radio Show. Brought to you by Veteran Rescue Mission. Highlighting the good in the community. Hosted by Pastor John McClain, Tucson's favorite family show.
All right, welcome back. This is the Common Good Radio Show. I am your guest host, Ron Arenas. I have the pleasure of filling in for Pastor John McClain. I'm usually the host, or I am the host of the Guys Next Door Radio Show, which is on at 4 o'clock, just a couple hours after the start of this show. Today on Sunday and every Sunday, we'd like to go ahead and thank our sponsors, Proper Villains, For Tucson, Allegra Printing and on Park and 22nd, We Care Tucson, 100 Plus Guys Who Give, Tucson Tamale, Desert Sunset Realty, White Stallion Ranch, Tucson Tool Shop, Tucson Business Networking, Roofs Are Hot, The Guys Next Door Radio Show, Picture Rocks Cooling, Heating and Plumbing, keeping you cool all summer long, Always Faithful Home Inspection, Levity Wellness Center, Crest Insurance, Tucson Pack and Ship, and Bin Masters. All right, so
That was a mouthful.
it was, yeah, and I got through all of it, I think in one breath.
Oh, yeah.
So that voice on that other microphone that you hear is Martin, which he is the associate producer of the Common Good TV show.
Howdy.
Welcome, Martin.
Oh, thank you for having me on.
Yeah. So we've gone through the first season of the TV show, the Common Good TV show. Tell us a little bit about being the associate producer.
Wow, it's kind of like this jack of all trades, right? You know, you fit in where the need is.
Yeah.
And but for the most part, a lot of it's the networking. Getting to know the people that are coming onto the show.
Okay.
And not only that, but the people that are supporting. Like the nonprofits. The people that support Veteran Rescue Mission, the homeless veteran transition center. the common people also, you know, that are out there and actually meeting them. I love that, you know, hearing their story, what they're doing in the community, and
Right.
you know, also as an associate producer, being kind of a scout, you know, looking for those stories also, and going, wow, yeah, you know what, they have a great story that we need to get out, and that's kind of where I'm at with all of it, and making sure that you know, anything that Pastor John needs, that he gets it, you know, and trying to make everything as seamless as possible for any part of the operations.
Very nice. So the best kind of producer is someone that you don't know exists because everything is going so smooth.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Kind of like a audio technician or cameraman, you know?
Oh,
you
that's
don't
funny.
notice them until they mess up. But, you know,
Correct.
as long as everything's going nice and smooth and the way it's supposed to be, you really don't know that those people exist.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's good. You don't you don't want people to notice you.
Yeah, no, I enjoy my time in the background, working the technical aspects of everything. I
Right.
do like that.
So you're talking about networking and getting to know these people maybe before the episode. Tell us about that. Do you meet with them maybe like the week before you shoot an episode?
Generally, I don't personally, but you know, just through the networking events that we have at like the Sands Club, you know, that we have every Wednesday at 9 a.m.
I've heard about that.
Yeah. You know, and some of the other networking events like the Marana Chamber of Commerce, the TBN, stuff like that. You know,
Right.
it's I get to meet them there, and you know, we have a good talk about some of the stuff that's coming on, and generally when they come into the studio, I'll greet them, sitting back and get them comfortable before coming into the recording studio here.
Right.
You know, and then I find a little bit more of their story if I haven't already. If I don't know them that well, I get to know them a little better.
Very nice. Very nice. And so what would be a good fit for that TV show?
Oh my! This is what I see, and this is the vision I see. A company, organization, or individual that, you know, is really doing a lot of good in the community, giving back. You know, but not only on top of that, you know, where they have a semi-polished brand already. You know,
Okay.
where it's
Yeah.
at least roughed out. You know, that way we can take it and we can help them polish it. But we can give them the tools to do it, you know, and get them pushed out into the public view. You know, a lot of the work still needs to be done by them.
Yeah. So you're helping out with kind of a marketing plan?
Yeah, not necessarily
Growth
their
plan,
marketing
maybe?
plan, but their how the public views them.
Oh, okay.
You know, within that aspect of you know, working with John on that, and just, you know, being in the background, doing the little subtle things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very good. Very good. So what's on the horizon?
Oh my, we're getting ready to start filming our second season here. You know, I mean, we're at the end of the month, so it's coming up here pretty quick.
Yeah.
I imagine next week we're going to start filming already. I don't know the itinerary for that yet, but August 7th, Wednesday, August 7th at 9 a.m., we will have our premiere debut of our show at the Sands Club.
Oh, fantastic.
And that's it looks like it's turning out to be a really big event.
Yeah, okay. So tell us a little bit about the Sands Club. What is this Sands Club?
Oh my, the University of Arizona Sands Club. What a place to network.
Yeah.
I mean, beautiful up there. You don't have to be a member to go, but you know, they really recommend it. And you know, what they really do is just promote the businesses, right? You know, we get
Okay.
people in, we network with other businesses, allow them to give their 30 seconds of what they are, what they do, who they're looking for. You know, and that way, you know, we're all sitting around going, okay, well, you know, how do they fit in the caveat of our networking? Are they a trade partner? Are they, you know, a direct sponsor, you know, or are they, you know, somebody a referral partner, little things like that.
Right, right. So networking is huge in your world.
Yes. And
Yeah.
I absolutely love it. Love meeting people. Love meeting people.
That's good. I mean, you're always good with people. You're out there and you're shaking hands and you're talking to everyone. Before you did this as associate producer, you were a tattoo artist, correct?
Yes, I'm still active. I've been a tattoo artist since 1999, a professional tattoo artist.
Oh, wow.
I worked with the Enchanted Dragon for 16 and a half years as a manager for them. Then I went to Africa for a little bit, came back and opened my own place.
You went to Africa?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, wow, you're a world traveler.
A little bit.
What'd you do in Africa?
Oh, I won't discuss that up here.
Very good. Very
Yeah,
good.
no, we were over there. I was networking,
Yeah.
just on a different level. It was business.
Okay.
And I spent 52 days over there, and yeah, I mean, it was just beautiful people, the people you meet. I mean, wow. Got to see some of the orphanages there. Got to see some of the different industries that were there. That earlier we were talking about OSHA.
Yeah.
And yeah, MSHA there does not exist. No OSHA exists.
Right. Yeah,
I,
you go to a different country, and those standards, those safety standards, just don't exist.
I climbed down a 300-foot hole that went down into a gold mine.
Oh, wow.
It was hand dug.
Wow.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That was probably one of the craziest things I did while I was there.
Yeah. I remember, I think it was maybe 4 years ago or 6 years ago when the World Cup was in Brazil,
Oh yeah.
and they were
yeah.
building that huge stadium, and there was like hundreds of people that died just building that stadium.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, lack of safety.
Lack of safety. Yeah. Yeah, so it's crazy. So, I mean, some people don't like the word OSHA, but it's here to protect us, and it's here to protect the workers and make sure that they get to go home to their families every night.
Absolutely, absolutely.
So in the tattoo industry, did you see it change over your...
Oh, most definitely. When I first started in '99, it was, I mean, it was just coming out of the outlaw phase, right? You know, the
Okay.
outlaw biker phase. You know, I won't get too much into that. I was still seeing a lot of things, but you know, it was a very prosperous business. You know, then the TV shows came out, right, and everybody wanted to be a tattoo artist. So we were oversaturated with artists, and because of that, you know, I mean, just tattoo shops started popping up everywhere.
Okay.
There is no regulating agency in the state of Arizona. There's only a handful of laws which regulate the ages of what you do. There's no hygiene standards, anything like that are set.
Really?
Correct, yeah.
Oh, wow.
Outside of you have to tattoo out of a brick and mortar
Okay.
business, tattooing out of a house is a Class 6 felony.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, a lot of people don't know that.
No, had no idea. Very good. So with all those tattoo shops popping up, I'm sure that there was maybe some substandard artists that...
Yeah, most
were
definitely. And I mean, even when I started, there were, you know, just people who just, they half-heartedly did the work because they were chasing the money versus, you know, the artwork.
Yeah. And you're a tremendous artist. I've seen your work.
Thank you.
I don't have any tattoos, but I've seen your pencil and paper. And, I mean, that's just basically what you translate onto people's skin, right?
Correct. Yeah, I was known for my black and gray work.
Yeah. And when people come in and they have a vision, then you just kind of fulfill that vision for them, right?
The best I can, yes.
Yeah. Is there any, like, kind of crazy tattoo that you just couldn't do?
Oh, yeah, there was a few. Yeah, I mean, just to keep it PG, yeah, you know. Yeah, there's quite a few that I turned away.
Yeah, okay. And on a kind of, as a, not normal, but do a lot of people go back several times, like they have sections done? And,
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, there's many times where you'll do like an outline first, like for a full sleeve. You'll just outline the whole arm and then start filling it in.
Okay,
That-
gotcha.
That's probably the most economical way to do it.
Okay, well, very good. Well, we have Martin on with us with the Common Good television show. He's the associate producer. I'm your host this week. My name's Ron Arenas, and we will be back soon.
The Common Good Radio Show. The Common Good Radio Show. Brought to you by Veteran Rescue Mission. Highlighting the good in the community. Hosted by Pastor John McClain, Tucson's favorite family show.
All right, this is the Common Good Radio Show. I'm Ron Arenas, your host for this week. I want to thank Pastor John McClain for giving me the opportunity and the privilege to host for him this week while he has some well-deserved time off. And our next guest today is Lakeisha Dion with For Tucson. Welcome.
Hi, thank you for having me today.
Yeah, very good.
So he's on Well Deserved.
I would say
Rest?
well deserved. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
We'll go with that.
We'll give him an excuse. For
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. So you're with For Tucson. Can you tell the listeners what is For Tucson?
So For Tucson is a Christian nonprofit, and we're a little different from most nonprofits. We really focus on systemic issues in our city.
Okay.
Let me back up and just share our vision.
Sure.
Our vision is to see a city aligned with God's ways so that his peace and prosperity is experienced by all generations. And a lot of times I always like to pause and express that when we talk about all generations, we're not just talking about individuals who profess Jesus as Lord and Savior.
Right.
We're talking about everyone in our city. We know that in the Bible, if we as Christians stand up and do what God has called us to do, then everyone will benefit from those blessings as well,
definitely.
and see that peace and prosperity. And the way we do that is through our mission, to unite and mobilize Christians and empower them to put biblical principles into action as they engage our city's most systemic issues. And some systemic issues that we've identified, and we've identified 22. And it's not just we opened up the news clips or the newspaper. One morning it was like, that's an issue, and that's an issue, and that's an issue. No, we actually looked back at 30 years worth of city documents and things that kept coming up administration after administration within our city, identifying very specific issues. And we took and we compiled all of those like common threads of issues that kept coming up, and we identified 22 of them. And of that 22, we've been able to really do deep dives of 5 of them.
Okay.
Where we really look at, okay, this is an issue within our city. We can obviously see data and proof of that. But what does the Bible say about it? We don't just jump right into it. This is an issue and we're going to go full charge into it. We really go and see, what does the Bible say about this? And should Christians even be involved in this at all? And I would say 99.9% of the time when we ask that question, we find evidence that yes, we should be involved. So we've already did deep dive research in poverty, and housing and education and economic opportunity and development. And our last one that we're really focusing on, and we're taking our time doing this one, is church as normative. In our culture, church used to be a very normative action.
Right.
And why is it not? And really diving deep as to, and asking all peoples, all walks of people, why is it not a normative action anymore in our city? But we don't just look at it from that biblical lens, we look at it from a global lens. Where else in the world are individuals, people groups running into these issues, and how are they addressing it? Are they addressing it? And then we look at it nationally and again ask the same questions. Where else in our country are people running into these issues, and how are they addressing it? Then we look at it at our state level.
Wow.
Then we go down at our county, then our city. Then we look at it from the neighborhood level, and then we go to the church, and within a 1 mile radius, how is this issue affecting this particular area? So we do a lot of that research, and then engaging with community partners and individuals who are affected by those issues, service providers, all of those things, to try to really get down to the bottom of like, how can we collaboratively work together to solve this issue for our city?
Okay. And you're working with neighborhoods and city officials and state officials?
Yep. So, yes. and including global partners we have, and national partners that we have. So there's a number of different partnerships that we have throughout the world that either call on us to ask how we even start research, like we have the robust research that we have. But most of the time we're being questioned by a lot of our global and national partners on, okay, we have this research, what do we do? And in most cases, people just take that research and file it away in a digital folder somewhere, or put it on a shelf somewhere, bind it, or however. But it bothers us on staff to just put all of that research together and do nothing with it. So we actually really try to pull together and create spaces where we can share the information, so push the information out, but also do a pull of, is this the right information? These are some best practices that we're seeing. Would it work here in Tucson? And have you seen it done any other way? We intentionally go out and find partners in different industries, different domains within our city, education, business, church, sports, all of these different domains, and see, okay, from your lens, from your expertise, does this look like this would be a great solution to implement? Or are we even asking the right question? Are we even solving the right question, you know?
Right.
So we really do that and create these discussion spaces where people can feel comfortable. I love to tell people, we have an idea and we're inviting you to break it. Now, how many times? Think about it. Like, think about the pride of people. How many times would anyone say, I got this great idea, and I want you to come and intentionally break it? And so we do that, and it helps just like alleviate a lot of walls and get people really into the solution. We're very scientific method based in that. We use a design thinking method as we're addressing these systemic issues. So it's not just like what we think, and we don't just wing it, but we actually go through a scientific method and actually an engineering method to try to solve and understand the issue and make sure we're responding to the right question and putting together prototyping, which my staff is all going to cringe when they hear that word, because they just absolutely hate it. But we're actually doing that and testing and retesting and seeing, okay, how can we make this better, or should we just scrap it altogether? So,
do you have any partnerships with other cities that are seeing, similar?
Yeah. Okay. So we partner with Charlotte. Actually, they have in North Carolina, they have a great spin on our name. We're for Tucson, they're for Charlotte. There's another
Who
city.
thought of it first?
You know what? I'm going to let the founders fight over that. But when you look at data, because we are data driven, I think For Tucson came up with For Tucson first, and then after a while, For Charlotte came around. Rob Kelly came around and was like, we're for our city too. But we partner with individuals in Kansas City. We were down in Dallas a couple of months ago talking with a group of 27 other leaders. Every year I meet with leaders up in Estes Park, Colorado. And that's both globally and nationally. We all come together for a week retreat and just really kind of share, these are the things that we're encountering in our individual cities, and just bounce ideas off of one another. But
very good. Very good. So how long has For Tucson been around?
So we've been around officially since 2012. It all started off with a group of pastors who had a love for our city, and they all came together and they started to pray for our city, as scriptures, Jeremiah 29 says, for us to seek the peace for our city and pray unto it for us. And so that's what they did. And out of it, that's where the idea for Tucson came. And Mark Harris, the founder and previous CEO before me, really went and started to research and seek, okay, what's preventing our city from flourishing and having elements of peace as other cities are having? Why can't we be there at that? So,
yeah, that would be great. So does For Tucson have any upcoming events?
Wow. Well, can I share first about a past event, which I'm quite kicking myself that we didn't really share it with you guys last month. So yesterday we just gathered a group of nonprofit leaders who are all asking the same question: how do we raise money for our nonprofits, right? And so we gathered about 10 of them into the room, and we did this Journey of Generosity workshop, where it really caused us to really think, what does God say about generosity? Is generosity always $1? And what we learned out of that workshop, it's not.
Right.
It's not. It's time. It's your talent. It's so many other things. And building that plan and having that conversation with God on that. And so we just launched our inaugural, I hate that word, workshop, but we plan to do that again in September. So I wanted to share that. And that's going to be something where we'll do a broader invitation for others to come. We do have our every month, the fourth Friday of each month at Arizona Sands Club, we gather people together for the For Tucson breakfast to really talk about these issues that I listed off: poverty in our city, housing in our city, education, economic opportunity and development. And we have these discussion tables where we invite, again, people to come and break it. If you think you have a great idea, come to the table. Be willing to break ours, but then also allow us to be willing to speak life into yours as well too. But we have those discussions each month, every fourth Friday of the month at the Arizona Sands Club. There's breakfast provided. For more details, you can go to fortucson.com. We have an events calendar there. But that's one thing. And then the other thing that I really would love to direct people to is our For Tucson podcast. And that's where we invite our partners in these spaces where we're really trying to solve these systemic issues outside of our organization, to share about the work they're doing and how working collaboratively with us is helping to elevate the work that they're doing in our city.
Okay. How often do you do that podcast?
Once a month. So we just shot our last podcast, or our latest podcast, on education yesterday. And then already at our For Tucson Purpose, I think that's what it's called, For Tucson _Purpose on YouTube channel, we have our previous ones.
All right. Well, thank you for coming in.
Thank you for having me.
Lakeisha Dion, the CEO of For Tucson.
Thank you.
Yeah. And we'll be back in a couple minutes.
The Common Good Radio Show. The Common Good Radio Show. Brought to you by Veteran Rescue Mission. Highlighting the good in the community. Hosted by Pastor John McClain, Tucson's favorite family show.
And we're back. We are the Common Good Radio Show. I'm your host, Ron Arenas, filling in for Pastor John McClain. On this next segment, we have John Wechter from Arizona Sands Club Networking. Welcome, John.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. And I just saw you this morning at a networking event.
It's a twofer today.
It is, yeah. How'd you get so lucky?
I don't know. I was just going to ask, who's luckier?
So how did the Arizona Sands Club Networking start?
Well, I'm a founding member, and so is Don Zavis, who is my partner in crime with that, with all my networking endeavors. And so I joined the Sands Club before it was open, actually. 3 months before it was open. And when I took my tour, it should have been a hard hat area.
Oh, wow. Okay.
You know, I didn't have a hard hat, and I wasn't given one.
I think we took our tour right when they're about to open. So everything was finished, but I don't think they're open for business yet.
Yeah, they still had scaffold and you know, 12-foot ladders and stuff, and doing things underneath the acoustical tiles and all that, all the wiring and all that kind of stuff.
So we won't tell the OSHA guys about that.
No, we don't talk with OSHA that much. It's just it's not one of my better relationships. So we started. It opened in October of. Oh my gosh!
Maybe 19 or 18.
No, it wouldn't have been 19.
Well, COVID was 20. Seemed like it opened maybe in 19.
19.
Yeah.
And we started, we talked to the then general manager, and the then operations manager about, let's try and kick off a networking group for the local businesses. And at that time, we were kind of also including faculty in the conversation,
Oh, okay.
which didn't turn out to be much of a participatory
Yeah.
cohort. But so we started in January of that following year, and we were doing once a month. Our first networking group was 5 people, of which Don and I were 2 of the 5.
Oh, wow. You're 40%.
Yeah. So we just sat in that big room, just around one table, just talking about it, and just passing ideas around and learning the 3 people that were there that read the memo.
Yeah.
And or before Zingle, it was just some sort of event calendar on their website. But as you know, when you start anything
Mm-hmm.
or take over anything really, really small, it takes years to grow.
Yeah.
It takes persistence and
A lot of hard work.
and a lot of hard work, a lot of
Yeah.
vigilance, and you've got to constantly worry about adding value, because if you don't have increased value in any of your propositions, you're just not going to get the takers.
Yeah, that's
so,
true.
So over time, we just kept drilling it and nailing it, and didn't really care if 5 people showed up or 10 or whatever. We just said, okay, don't worry, this will catch on at some point in time. And there was never a flashpoint or never a trigger or anything like that. It's just now we have regularly around 50 people.
Yeah, that's a great group.
And over 500 people have passed through our sign-in sheet process. And so that's our reminder newsletter to all previous attendees that,
Right.
and we don't really do anything else with that, for lack of a better word, database,
Right. Yeah.
Excel spreadsheet. and so that's how it all started. And so it's been well over, we're well into our 4th year now, or are
You guys probably took a break during COVID, right?
Yes, we did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The whole world did.
The whole world
Yeah.
did. We went to Zoom,
Did you? Okay.
and tried to make that work a little bit. That was a little bit awkward, and we didn't stay with that too long. But we, at that point in time, we were also Don and I were doing weekly sales training sessions.
Okay.
Not at the Sands Club, in Oro Valley, actually. And we had been doing that for many, many years. And when our venue told us that we cannot,
Mm-hmm.
you
Can't
know,
have live training.
we cannot have live training anymore, then we went to a big conference room and went to, it was always, all of our trainings are videoed
Oh, okay.
and archived, going
Mhm.
back, probably 10 years or more.
Wow.
90 minutes every week. And now there's the YouTube channel, and there's we used to have an affiliation with Vimeo, and Vimeo was the archive of the actual video itself. And if you were a client of ours, then you get the password to the video, and you could see any of the prior trainings going back for years and years and years. But circling back to the Sands Club, post-COVID is when it started really catching on again, and that's where we stand today, and that's the Sands Club story.
Yeah,
when
I
it
think a
comes
lot
to-
of people were really hungry to get back out there and socialize and network and just have that human contact.
Yeah, it's the post-summer on steroids, because
right?
the summer everything slows down, and after
Yeah.
Labor Day things pick up real bit. But post-COVID was really
Yeah.
an accentuated part of that. Yeah.
Right,
Very similar, but just a lot more of it.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So for our listeners, do you have to be a Sands Club member to go to the networking?
You do not. Anyone can come to the networking groups at the Sands Club. However, for 2 of our 3 events, we do 3 events there on a monthly basis. For 2 of them, which are the general networking, if you're not a member, there's a small charge that the Sands Club charges. We, as facilitators, do this on a complete voluntary basis. We don't get any compensation or remuneration of any kind. We're just there to meet new people, and hopefully, maybe just every now and then, we'll get a nice little lead.
Yeah, there you go.
And if we get a nice little lead, well, that's our pay, because we have a
Yeah.
we have a 1-year agreement with our clients, and so we get them for a year, and so it works out, and it's good for us to really get to know all the different types of businesses. It never amazed it. I mean, it never. It just always. All the different ways people make money just
Right.
absolutely blows me away.
Yeah. And there's always different trends.
Week after week,
Yeah.
and there's always different trends. And, you got a person that stands up and does their little explanation of what they do. And I'm sitting there scratching my head going, how do you pay the mortgage?
Yeah.
How do you make
Seriously. Enough money
Yeah,
to feed your family?
But it just always amazes me that in our entrepreneurial world, there's just things that I would never, ever, ever personally think of
Yeah.
as being a way to make a living.
Yeah.
And yet they're out there, and we meet new ones every week, and it's really enjoyable.
Yeah. I mean, if you have an idea and there's a market for it, then you can find a way to make money on it.
Exactly right. And that's kind of like our sales training type
Mhm.
of program is, in our community especially, where we have heavy military
Mm-hmm.
and people retire
Yeah.
and they're looking for something.
Yeah.
Many of them have an idea that they've been thumping around in their head forever,
Yeah.
and they don't know how to execute it or how to get it done. And so when that so they can reach out to us, and a lot of times they know exactly what to do, they just don't know how to sell it.
Yeah. That's true.
You
They
know,
don't know how to market it.
They don't know how
get
to
it
do
out there.
any of that. And so but regardless, that's the Arizona Sands networking summary and a little bit about our sales training. So
All right. So as a person being new to networking, would someone have to just be a business owner to network, or?
no, because going back to the transition part, they usually don't own their business at that time,
Okay.
but they're looking for a job,
Yeah.
and you never know where your next boss might be.
That's true.
Ron.
All right. We'll be back with John in just a few minutes.
The Common Good Radio Show. The Common Good Radio Show. Brought to you by Veteran Rescue Mission. Highlighting the good in the community. Hosted by Pastor John McClain, Tucson's favorite family show.
And we are back. This is the Common Good Radio Show. I'm your host, Ron Arenas, filling in for Pastor John McClain, talking with John from the Arizona Sands Club Networking. John, how you doing?
I'm doing fine. Thanks again for having me.
Yeah, we love having you here and spending time with you. We see you pretty much, well, not every Wednesday, but every other Wednesday we're at the Sands Club.
Right.
Yeah. And it's a great group. Usually average about 50 people. You think probably there's a core of about 30 people, and then there's 20 people that are kind of in and out?
It's probably about a little more than that. So it's
Okay.
probably more like 40 and 10.
40 and 10. Okay.
Yeah, 40 and 10. We seem to have 10 new people on average per session.
Okay.
So they get a firsthand look at what the Sands Club is all about and what general networking is all about,
Yeah.
as well as, get an idea of how to spend 10 to 15 minutes focusing on yourself with our member focus examples every time.
Right.
And, well, not every time, because we do have cancellations, last minute cancellations.
Right.
But regardless, so it's a new experience, and it exposes them to the Sands Club itself, and they get to talk, if they so choose, with some of the staff there or the membership folks, and just kind of get an idea of what it would be like to join our community here at the Sands Club. And so that's we just we're the runway. We just lay it out, and wherever whatever happens after that, that's up to employed staff to make that stuff happen.
Right. So why is it so important for business owners and professionals to network?
The main reason why networking is important is because networking brings the last stage of relationship building to the front. So a lot of times lead generation starts with something that you see on the internet,
Mm-hmm.
or something that you start with some other type of non-face-to-face interaction.
Okay. So you're aware of the service or business.
Right.
But you don't have a personal connection yet.
Yeah. But at the end of the day, before you actually make a sale, typically, unless you're buying some sort of commodity on Amazon,
Mm-hmm.
but from a service standpoint, or from a trades standpoint,
Right.
there's a trust factor. There's a trust factor that needs to be really solidified before you say, okay, come fix my XYZ.
Right.
Um,
Yeah, being in the trades, I mean, we're in people's houses every day.
right, exactly.
Where their kids are, maybe grandma's there, their dogs are there.
Yeah, and the normal process is, you build that trust factor. And getting back to your question, networking provides that face-to-face
Mm-hmm.
as the first link in the process.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's why networking's important,
Right.
because there's no precursor with texts and phone calls or voicemails and emails and send me some materials over the digital flyers or whatever. All of that is bypassed,
Yeah.
and face-to-face is now right up front.
It's almost an interview.
It's almost an interview.
Yeah.
It's definitely that. And so that's the real short answer as to network. Why is networking important? But secondly, that's for transactional networking. That's when you want to find somebody. But everybody's got 200 people in their world.
Mm-hmm.
And even though we may not be, a lot of people get frustrated with networking because they don't walk out with an order, and they're just untrained in.
Right. It doesn't work that way.
It doesn't work that way. So that's the start of a relationship, and even if I don't own a house, for example, so I don't need your personal services.
Mhm. You know other people that do.
I know a lot of people that would.
Right.
And so, and so that's the referral generation, and there's nothing better than the only thing second to face is a solid referral from someone you can trust.
Mm-hmm.
And you get that stuff in networking as well.
Right.
So we've got many, many networkers, many of which that have come to us or even announced publicly how much money they've made off this group.
Sure.
Yeah. Roofing comes to mind.
Right.
And HVAC comes to mind.
Yeah.
And I'm guilty of both. And so that's why networking is good.
Okay.
And so it's worth it's even if you're not a member of the networking group that we're facilitating. It's relatively no cost. It's a small charge in the scheme of things.
Yeah.
But its value is off the charts.
It is. It is. And you guys offer a couple other services also, other than networking over there. Can you tell us about those?
Sure, we do sales training and business coach. We've got a program called the Business Builder Program. It's a monthly subscription program where we have a lot of sales training and coaching fundamentals, the blocking and tackling, if you will, of sales, because so many people that are just getting new into business, or even that have never even thought about it before, they just have the they don't know things like the fundamentals of bonding and rapport. They don't know the fundamentals of stalls versus objections. They don't have the ability to make a sales plan or how to set goals. And so I always tell everybody before they start to come on board with us, we're the coach.
Yeah.
You're the one on the floor.
Yeah.
We'll help you diagram the game plan. We'll help you get your mind right, but at the end of the day, you got to put the basketball into the hoop.
That's right. They have to do all the hard work.
Yeah.
You're just laying out a game plan for them.
That's right.
Basically.
And we're, in my view, we're ridiculously inexpensive, but we're not going to go into programs right now. But because I know people that charge thousands and thousands for that, especially if you get into your more medium-sized companies who are willing to pay for it. But regardless of that, that's another thing we do is sales training, business coaching.
Okay. And you have one other service that you provide also.
Yeah, we call it. It's a company called the Predictive Index that we represent, and it's basically workforce analytics, and it's a platform and a tool that we use to identify the 4 genetic drives of a person that we are all born with.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And those are dominance, extroversion, patience, and structure. So it's all a continuum. We all have low or high drives on each of those 4, and every brain is different, and every brain basically becomes solid with that by the age of 5.
Oh, wow.
But the brain changes because of our environment. So we measure and this is all data-driven stuff. This is not subjective or qualitative data. It's all quantitative data. And we measure exactly where a person sits on all those continuums when they were born, and we remeasure them based upon how they make decisions in their current environment.
Okay.
So the first assessment is pretty much regular throughout your whole life. Because environments change, people get married, people die, people have kids, people go through some sort of personal health problems.
Yeah.
Their environment changes. So the environmental aspect of that is only about 90 days to 120 days that we consider it relevant. So that's what it makes it good for hiring. And it's a good red flag. So if somebody's trying to tell us something about themselves currently, and it doesn't match their natural state, then
you're like, what's going on?
We say what's going on.
Yeah.
And so and then but what PI does, Predictive Index PI, what distinguishes us is we do the exact same thing for the job. So
is that so you can match the right person for that job?
Exactly.
Okay.
So we develop a profile that's required for the job, and we match the people with similar brain aspects, similar genetic drives, and that's really important because It doesn't matter what profession. We can just use sales since I'm a sales trainer. You know for yourself, you've got two different salespeople
Yep.
that are way different.
So when is the networking at Sands Club?
Second, fourth Wednesdays at 9 a.m. And we also do a Skyline Country Club first Thursday of the month.
Hispanic Alliances Radio Show. Highlighting Tucson Hispanic organizations and culture every week.
Welcome to the Hispanic Alliance Radio Show.
Yes, welcome to the Hispanic Alliance's radio show. I am your host, Andres Ruiz, and that is my little Bubba, Andresito Ruiz. Yes, and today we have a very special show. We have two amazing guests that I definitely appreciate so much with the work that they're doing. But the first person I've known for quite some time now, her name is Annulette, and she is the Grants and Program Coordinator for Tucson Youth and Peace Culture of Peace Alliance. Welcome to the radio show.
Glad to be here.
Yes,
Very glad.
yeah, thank you. And yeah, I just want to say, my testimonial for what you do, because I've been a part of the presentations that we go and give to the young generation, and you have been doing this for quite some time now, and I just want to express my gratitude for what you do for our community.
Great. And as you know, it's such a collaborative undertaking with all kinds of different organizations in the community, and of course the youth leadership team that's made up of youth from schools throughout the community.
I love that. Yeah. So, Ann, tell us how and when did the annual Youth and Peace Conference get started?
Okay, it's a good story. This was back in, we're now moving on to the 13th year for the Youth and Peace Conference. So about 13 years ago or so, there were a group of youth, high school students that were gathered in the Peace Garden, which is on the south side of town. The Sunnyside Neighborhood Association and Becky Quintero started this Peace Garden. There were a group of high school students there, and they were talking about the problem of bullying in their schools and what a huge problem it was. And one of the young women said, what we need here in Tucson is a Youth and Peace Conference. And Becky heard that. She was there in the garden because she's really the founder of that Peace Garden. She heard that, and then she gave me a call and said, here's what was suggested, in the Peace Garden the other day by one of the young women that was there, that they thought it was time that we had a Youth and Peace Conference here in Tucson. What do you think? I said, absolutely. Let's pull people together and make it happen. And so that was the beginning, was that conversation in that Peace Garden and that suggestion by youth. So one of the things right from the beginning was we wanted to see youth in leadership roles for this conference. It's their conference, basically.
I love that.
In the community. So
yeah, and I love how you have them involved. So tell us a little bit more about how those youth are involved in these leadership roles for this annual event. What are they doing?
So one of the ways is that we have a youth leadership team. So each year, that youth are gathered from around the community, whoever responds to the call, it's time for another youth leadership team to be formed for each year's conference. And so they come together and start meeting and start kind of building their own team, all these youth from different schools throughout the community and surrounding communities. So we've had youth from Sahuarita. Right now, our two interns both graduated from Rio Rico High School.
Oh, nice. That's where I went. That's cool. Yeah, that's where I graduated from.
All right.
That's awesome.
So it's, it's not just Tucson. It's also surrounding communities, Sahuarita and Marana and Vail and Rio Rico. So down even to Nogales.
Really? Okay.
So we're glad to see that kind of expanding network, if you will, of schools and youth that are involved in this annual event. And then it's the responsibility of the youth leadership team to decide what should be the theme or themes each year for the conference, and what should be the title for the conference. And then starting with the 2020 youth leadership team, right, of course, at the pandemic, they started writing a mission statement for their conference, what they wanted to achieve with the conference. So the current youth leadership team, they've created the title for this year's conference, and they've got their themes chosen. Now they're writing their mission statement for this year's conference. And as you know, because you're a presenter, you've been a workshop presenter at this conference, we've just sent out the call for workshops to the community to have people put in their workshop proposals to be presented at this year's conference, in keeping with the title and the themes that the youth have already selected for the conference.
I love that. Yeah, that's awesome that you're giving them that responsibility, and it sounds like they're taking on the responsibility with pride. And
yes.
I love how there's a mixture of Rio Rico, Marana. It's just like different cultures that you're bringing in. It's like a diverse group of young people that are coming together for, a purpose, a mission, and they're writing a mission statement. I mean, for kids to be writing a mission statement, that's incredible.
Yeah, and that 2020 youth, that year, the mission statement they wrote, which unfortunately I don't have with me, but it is on the website for the conference. It was so powerful that we said, we need to expand the conference so that it's not just that conference event, but it's a year-long peace leadership training program for youth and young adults. Ages 12 to 24. And so as a result of that 2020 mission statement, we made that commitment to expand into a year-long program, a year-long youth leadership, peace leadership training program for youth. So we're slowly but surely, we made that commitment. It's taken a number of years to get there, and we're still not totally there in terms of having a whole year of workshops and training opportunities that the youth that apply for the youth leadership team are also applying for that year-long peace leadership training program now. So they come in February or so, they started, and then they started in March, and then they do a couple of months of building that community, building their own team, gaining some workshops in mental health issues, on a variety of issues, and then they start working to plan the conference. That's kind of their hands-on experience, if you will, is taking on that leadership for the conference, and working in partnership with an adult logistics team that's in charge of the logistics for the conference. So the youth set the tone, what's the conference going to be about, and then the adults that basically represent all the different partnering organizations in the community that come together to put on this conference.
Wow, I love that. Yeah, and it's just it's so great for them to just be so dedicated to coming, like you said, they come in to this, for a year, just basically just saying, what, like, we're gonna be committed. They're committed. That's what they're doing.
Right.
They're committed, and they're saying, what, we're gonna do it for the year, and so that's a beautiful thing. And I know that there are 4 themes, I believe, right? Can you tell us a little bit about like what those 4 themes are? I'm really curious to hear about that.
Yeah, sure. This year, the 4 themes they've selected are mental health, substance misuse prevention, social media and safety, kind of all the issues around social media and safety concerns, and then self-care.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So as you're aware, since you, again, have been a workshop presenter for the last, I don't know, I think it's 5 years at least that you've been doing it each year.
It's been a while.
That really, since the pandemic, the major focus for each year's youth leadership team has been on mental health concerns, because they recognize the crisis that's impacting their peers, themselves and their peers and their friends. And therefore, they see the need to focus on issues around mental health and well-being and self-care. And this year is the first year I've seen this additional emphasis on drug misuse prevention or substance misuse prevention, which says something about the reality that they're witnessing and experiencing for themselves and their friends.
Yeah, I mean, I can tell you from just relatives that have told me, they'll go into a bathroom and then people are vaping, and it's just an ongoing thing that I keep hearing from schools where kids are in there vaping, and that's the beginning of going down something a little bit more, worse. But and then we're kind of like running out of time here. I know this has been amazing. I have to tell you, I mean, there's never enough time when we have people like you on the show. But how can people get involved and or help participate in some meaningful way with the 2024 Youth Peace and Conference?
Great question. Thank you so much. Well, there are a couple of ways. One, I mentioned we have an adult logistics team. We need more people on the adult logistics team this year. We've been forming our committees that are kind of our regular committees, and there's a couple of committees definitely need more people. Some of the partnering organizations, there were a couple of them that have been with us all the way through as sustaining partners that have had to pull out this year and not have somebody on the adult logistics team. So we could definitely use some more people who would be interested. If someone just wants to come and volunteer on the day of the conference, which is September 20th this year, Friday, September 20th at Pima Community College West Campus. We definitely need volunteers on the day of the conference.
Awesome. This is
and
awesome.
Then, of course, sponsors and donors are always appreciated.
Love it, love it. Also, I want to give a big shout out to PEP and CPC.
Absolutely.
I mean, they've been a sustaining partner and sponsor of yours, correct?
Yeah.
So yeah, big shout out to them. Big shout out to Amy Bass and all the good work they're doing over there.
Absolutely.
And thank you again for being on the show. This is the Hispanic Alliances radio show. We'll be right back after this.
Welcome back to the Hispanic Alliances radio show.
Yes, welcome back to the Hispanic Alliances radio show. That is my Bubba, my Babito Andresito. He's in the studio today. Andresito, yes. And so we just had a great segment with Ann Yolette talking about all the amazing work that they do with the youth. I'm so grateful to be a part of that Youth Peace Conference, which is going to be September 20th. I've been having the pleasure of doing that for 5 years now, so it's going to be my 6th. So grateful for them. But now we have another amazing guest that I've known for a minute, and this gentleman is definitely doing some work right now. I mean, he's a busy señor, because this Tucson weather has been brutal. I think that's what Jerry Seinfeld said. But we have the JD Juan Delgado with Roofs Are Hot. Juan
Delgado. Hey,
there you go. How you doing today, man?
Oh, I'm doing good. Just a lot of activity. A lot of moving around. A lot of phone calls. A lot of text messages. A lot of scheduling and working on delegating and so forth.
Yeah.
But no, thank you for having me on. It's great to be here and see your son, your little mini me.
Yeah, my Andresito. Yeah, man.
So, in regards to this weather, man, this is crazy, because we've had I think it's but 2 or 3 actual tornadoes that have touched down here in Tucson.
That's wild.
Yeah, it is so wild. There was one on Kolb and Valencia, and then another one over here on the northwest side. So after our storm on July 14th, I'm coin phrasing it, Tucson Tornado Alley, man. So what we're looking at is all the way from Congress to Cochero, from I-10 to Oracle. I mean, this is just a whole swath, of damage all over the place. Trees, roofs, just crazy.
Yeah. I've been seeing trees like crazy, man. I'm like, nuts. What is going on with these trees, man? I was driving down Congress, and there's that Safe Park, and this big tree just collapse, man. And I'm not talking about it's like a little tree. These trees are humongous, and I'm thinking, man, if that tree falls on something or somebody, that's it.
Yeah, and it's I mean, fortunate. I haven't actually worked on any jobs yet where the tree actually fell on the roof. A couple years ago that actually happened. It was like almost it was about a 45-foot pine tree. No, it was a eucalyptus. It was a eucalyptus.
Really?
Fell over, and part of it didn't fully fall onto the tree was so big it actually like kind of leaned over. The branches stopped it, but some of the branches actually went right through the roof. But man, it's just crazy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So when you were talking about those trees and them either falling on a roof or just branches or anything like that, I know we've talked about this before, but how much that could do damage to roofs. Tell us a little bit about that, like just the damage that these trees can actually do when it comes to roofs.
So what it does is it'll remove the protective roofing that protects the roof from water getting in, or from the tar paper or the 3-ply hot mop. So the best thing to do is, if you do have these trees, and especially these big trees, talk to a professional arborist or a tree expert and have them, because they can actually cut it and short it down. Instead of removing the whole tree, they could actually crop it and cut it off, the top, so where it's not so tall. And then also another good thing to do is, like what I tell people, is you want to make sure that the tree branches are 2 feet away from the roof. Okay. Because they're going to grow back quick. So you want to cut them 2 feet away from the roof to make sure that they're not scratching the roof and so forth. Because a lot of times what will happen is insurance company, if you have damage as a result of that, they're going to say that's a maintenance issue. You weren't properly taking care of your roof. So you want to make sure the trees are trimmed back far enough to where it's not scraping and scraping the granules off the shingles, or scraping the coal coat off your 3-ply hot mop roof. So yeah, there's some things. But like I said, what you want to do is you want to take preventative measures to make sure that you do actually trim those trees and crop them and do whatever you need to do.
Absolutely. And I know that we've talked before about how just like the importance of just that regular roof inspection, where in areas especially where it's prone to like extreme weather, and for those people out there that are homeowners, how often should they be scheduling those inspections, just like to make sure the roof is okay? I
would say 1 to 3 times a year. Usually I say at least 1 time a year, but I would say 1 to 3 times a year now, because I mean it's the extreme weather we have. Because you could check your roof like last week and it could be fine. Like some people check it and say, well, after this big storm, I went and checked out your roof. Well, we already had a couple other storms that came by and did some damage and did this and did that. So like I had some people, they looked at their roof after the big storm from July 14th, no damage, but now they have damage from the other storms that have occurred since July 14th.
Yeah.
So it's especially right now, you got to be definitely keeping an eye on your roof and seeing what's going on. A lot of times what happens is people will think that it's their neighbor's shingle. They're like, oh, look at their roof's flying off. I mean, I've heard that a lot. Like they call me up, oh yeah, we went outside and the neighbor's roof was flying off and this, and then they look and they're like, oh shoot, my roof's flying off too. Yeah, it's funny. You know how it is. You're always looking at the neighbors like, what are the neighbors doing?
Yeah.
Oh, look at that. And then you're like,
oh man, mine too.
Yeah, but actually we went up on one roof. There was a roof on top of this roof.
What?
Oh yeah.
Oh my God.
It was crazy. I mean, the plywood. There was a rafter. It went right through the solar panels. They had solar panels on there, man. It looked like a war zone.
Wow.
Crazy.
Yeah, no, I can just imagine what you've seen.
And then, so another thing also is for homeowners is to look for the hail damage. A lot of times people don't see the hail damage, and you can see the hail damage on the paint. So if you look on your fascia or on the paint, on the side of the on your side of your house, you can see some slight chipping from the stucco and so forth. And if you see that pattern, that's from hail. And I'm seeing a lot of it all over the place. I mean, this hail, it wasn't really like big, but it just was coming down like 80 miles, 90 miles per hour. They're just coming down, freaking like little rockets.
That's wild. Yeah, no, and like you said, you're seeing a lot of everything now, especially these past few weeks, man. It's just something that we have. I don't know if we've ever seen this in Tucson, but I mean, based on your experience, is this something that, tornadoes? Like what's
it's wild. It really is wild. I was just talking to somebody about that. Like growing up, it's like, how many times did you hear about people's roof line? I mean, but what's happening is you're getting repeat people. Same thing happen. I mean, they're in that area and their roof's getting damaged again. Like 3 years, 4 years, 5 years. It's happening again.
Okay.
So yeah, and then the insurance is just going crazy. I mean, it's just going up, and people are like, "Why is it?" Well, that's why. I mean, this weather's not pretty.
No, yeah, and I mean, and then for us, since it's like tornado warnings and all this stuff, like how does even one get prepared? Like, I mean, nobody was prepared for that. So now, like, if you think about it, when you think about, like, if there's going to be that severe tornado warning or severe storm, like, when should they contact, like, a professional for an assessment, like if they have something that did happen in regards to that roof damage?
Well, immediately, if they can, if they know it's coming, if they've already had damage, then you definitely want to contact them prior to. Like I just got a phone call from another one of my roofing buddies. He was going out of town, but he got a call from one of his clients, and she was worried. She had a leak going on in another part of the roof that he didn't work on. She called him, and so he called me up, and I'm sending somebody out there like right now. But yeah, you want to be on it, and then you just want to follow what's going on. I mean, we're warned about this. They give us warnings. So, look at the warnings, read them, follow them. If you don't know what to do, they'll tell you what to do.
Yeah.
And they'll tell you how to prepare for it also. Get online and see what you need to do in order to prepare for it.
Yeah, absolutely. So tell us about, like, because I know, hey, there's emergencies happening right now. Like, how do you handle, like, emergency roofing repairs? You kind of told me one right now, but like following these events and, in regards to the repair process, what should people expect when it comes to this?
So what I do is I'll talk to if you have pictures, I'll have them text me the pictures. Of course, text me all the information, whatever they have. If they already opened up an insurance claim, all the information in regards to that. Yeah. If they haven't opened up an insurance claim, sometimes, because I'm getting a lot of phone calls with tile roofs. So these tile roofs blow off like 5 of them or 10 of them. Well, that's not enough to open up an insurance claim. You don't want to open up an insurance claim because it costs maybe $800 or $1,000. If you have a deductible that's $1,000, it's not worth it. Just pay for it up front.
Yeah.
And that's one of the important things is kind of assess and find out how much the damage is. I charge a $200 emergency fee to get out there and do some work and get out there and evaluate it, and that goes towards any of the work that we do on the property also.
Nice.
So yeah, and like I said, just get a professional out there or get somebody that you can trust and have them check it out.
Absolutely. Nice.
Yeah, and pictures.
Yes. Yeah.
Pictures are great.
Yeah, and I mean, you've seen so many pictures that you already know what you're dealing with when as soon as you see the picture.
I have so many pictures. It's like, and I take it. That's how I document everything. I mean, I have so many pictures. I mean, pictures.
Oh my goodness.
Pictures. I have like so
You're
much.
You're gonna
data.
need a new SD card pretty soon.
No, well, actually, I got like the freaking extended
the
pack,
1 terabyte.
Oh yeah, dude, I have so many pictures.
I can imagine.
Yeah.
Wow, awesome. So thanks for all the details and all the information, man. This has been awesome. For people that want to get a hold of you, that maybe right now they're dealing with some challenges in regards to their roof, how can they get a hold of you to work with you?
520-314-7774. That's 520-314-7774. So you can call or text message your full name, address, and if you have any pictures, send them over. Or you can visit my website too, roofsarehot.com, and it's roofs all spelled out with an S, ROOFSAREHOT.com.
Nice. Awesome. Good stuff, man. Well, thank you for being on the show again. Thank you for sharing your knowledge, your wisdom, and everybody out there, hey, if you're having some challenges or if you see that there's a leak coming, reach out to Roofs Are Hot. And yes, so thank you everybody for tuning in. This is the Hispanic Alliances radio show. We will see you next week.
Thank you.
Thank you.